Hi, I'm Mark. Today we're going to be making a vintage looking sign. It's going to be something quite basic, something quite simple. It's going to be made out of some of this pallet wood that I managed to get hold of a few weeks ago. I had a whole stack of pallets and I just cut them up into planks. So let's see what we can make. Okay, first job is just to tidy up the ends of these. I'm just going to use the chop saw and that'll give me a nice clean edge. That's all the pieces cut now. They do look a bit rough at the moment, but once they're sanded down and screwed together, it'll look okay. So the next job is to kind of assemble this thing. It looks a bit rough right now. I mean, it doesn't have to be pristine because it is going to be looking like some kind of old-fashioned piece, so kind of like that. And then at the back we'll just have a couple of boards just to hold it all together. So let me kind of turn these over. Just got some standard screws here. So that's all screwed together now. As you can see, we've got one kind of complete board. This is where we screwed it with the battens on the back. Next job is to sand this down. Right, so I've actually come outside to do the rest of this because it does get a bit dusty inside. Tools for this job: DA, spare sanding discs, face mask. I left the paint to dry overnight, so this is nice and dry now, ready for us to apply the stencil to. If you like, you could sand this down a bit more if you wanted to stress it a little bit, but I quite like the finish we've got here, so I'm going to work with what we have now. Here's the cut stencils. What I'm going to do is just tape them into place. The next part of the process is to use a bit of old paper, some black paint and a stenciling brush. Okay, so I'm going to put the paper there, I don't want any drips. But what I do use the paper for is just to get rid of any excess paint, so it's not too much. The good thing with a stencil brush is that it has this really nice kind of flat end to it. It means it's quite even when we put it down, and that no paint kind of escapes under the template as it kind of just pushes down like that. So I'm just going to put not a lot of paint, you can see, just dab a bit off there, and then I'm going to start off this end and just evenly just pushing directly downwards. Okay. We'll do that with the whole thing. Right, so that looks okay, lined up pretty well. Time to move on to the next section. So here's the finished sign. Paint's still a little bit wet, so it won't take too long to dry. I am actually thinking of maybe putting a hook in the back so it can be hung on the wall. If it's something to go outside, you might want to consider maybe some sort of protection like a lacquer or some sort of varnish. I'm sure you agree it looks okay for a quick job. You know what they say, it's the thought that counts, but I'm sure I'd be happy with this amongst all the other kind of retro vintage knickknacks he's got knocking around his house. I'd really appreciate if you could just hit the subscribe button, and I really look forward to seeing you on the next video.